The sun hung warm over the grocery store parking lot, baking the asphalt beneath rolling tires and restless weekend crowds. Cars wove through the lanes like impatient insects, drivers hunting for that one golden space closest to the entrance. The kind everyone wanted and very few got without a fight. Michael Jennings had been lucky today. He eased his silver sedan into an open spot near the front, straightened the wheel, and switched off the engine. There was nothing remarkable about his afternoon. Just a grocery run, milk, bread, maybe some fruit for the week. A simple errand. A quiet day. But quiet never stayed quiet for long. He'd barely opened his door when screeching tires cut across the air like a blade, sharp enough to make him flinch. A white SUV swung aggressively into the space beside him, stopping so close he could see his reflection in its window. And inside, anger was already waiting. The driver's door slammed, and out stepped a woman with fury written into every line of her face. Blonde hair tied back, jaw clenched tight, eyes burning with accusation before he even said a word. "Hey!" she barked, pointing at him, like she was calling out a criminal. "That was my spot." Michael blinked, confusion washing in slow. "Excuse me?" "I was waiting for that space," she snapped, stomping toward him. "I had my blinker on and everything." Michael scanned the lane. He had seen no signal, no waiting car, no sign this spot belonged to anyone. His voice remained steady, calm, like still water, under pressure. "I didn't notice anyone waiting. The space was open when I pulled in." Her eyes narrowed, and then her voice sharpened into something ugly. "Oh, of course you didn't. You people never do." Michael felt the words hit harder than her tone. Not just an insult, a message. A knife with familiar edges. His jaw tightened, but he held his voice like a man holding glass, careful not to break. "Ma'am, it's just a parking spot. I don't want any problems." But calm did not soothe her. It fueled her. She marched closer, invading his space, finger jabbing the air between them like a weapon. "Tired of people like you, thinking you can take whatever you want. Entitled. Rude. Acting like rules don't apply to you." He inhaled slowly, deeply, praying patience would be enough. She scoffed, loud enough for nearby shoppers to look up, eyes drifting toward them like curious birds. "Don't play innocent, boy." He took a step back, trying, needing to walk away. But she wasn't done. Not even close. He turned toward the entrance, but before he could take 3 steps, she shoved him. Hard. Michael stumbled, boots scraping the asphalt. He caught himself, spun around, shock flaring into something hotter. "What is your problem?" The woman planted her feet, chest rising like a bull, ready to charge. "You think you can walk away from me?" she hissed. "Get back here. I'm not finished." His patience strained, stretched thin like old rope. "Walk away," Michael warned softly, "before you do something you regret." She leaned closer, venom turning to smirk. "You don't tell me what to do." Then, faster than thought, her hand cracked across his face. The slap echoed through the parking lot, sharp and brutal. Shoppers froze. Phones came out. Eyes widened. Michael stood still. Stunned, stinging. Dignity burning. This wasn't about a parking space anymore. It never had been. It was about power. Permission. Her belief that she could strike him and nothing would happen. And for a moment, Michael felt the world tilt. No anger. Just clarity. He did not punch her. Did not rage. But he raised his hand and returned the slap. Not harder. Not cruel. Just enough to show he would not be her target. Her eyes went wide. Disbelief twisted her features. followed by a scream sharp enough to break glass. "You hit me," she shrieked. "You animal. I'll ruin you." The crowd flinched. Phones zoomed. Whispers spread like wind over wildfire. Michael's heartbeat thundered in his chest, not with pride, but with dread. Because he knew how stories like this were told. A black man defending himself. A white woman crying victim. Truth became shadow. Perception became weapon. And she knew it too. "You're done," she screeched. "I'll make sure of it." Michael turned, not to run, but to breathe, to escape the storm before it spun harder. Before one slap became something his skin would pay for twice. He walked into the store, automatic doors sliding shut behind him, muscling her fury, but not the fear curling low in his stomach. Because even as her voice faded, the fight had only begun, and somewhere deep inside him, something whispered, "This won't be the last time today." Inside the store, fluorescent lights hummed overhead, too bright, too calm, too normal for the storm that had just exploded in the parking lot. Michael gripped the cart handle tighter than necessary, knuckles whitening, jaw locked. He could still feel the sting of her palm on his cheek and the weight of eyes recording him, judging him in real time. He inhaled once, deep, slow. This is just groceries. This is just a store. This is supposed to be simple. But his heartbeat didn't believe him. He pushed the cart forward, trying to blend into the rhythm of everyday life. Fruit displays, children whining for candy, the intercom announcing aisle specials in a monotone voice. He made it 20 steps before the whispering began. "That's the guy from outside. He hit her." "No, she hit him first. Someone said they saw it." "Who cares? A man hitting a woman is still wrong. Unless she deserved it." Fragments. Judgments. Sides forming without facts. Michael kept his eyes forward. He wasn't interested in a courtroom built from strangers' assumptions. He picked up bread, milk, eggs, trying to move his hands like they belonged to someone calm, someone untouched. But inside, something coiled. Tighter, hotter, harder. He turned into the produce section and froze. She was inside. She was inside the woman from the parking lot. Cheeks flushed with indignation, hair slightly disheveled, still riding the high of rage. And now, she wasn't alone. 2 police officers stood beside her. One writing notes. One scanning the aisles, looking for him. Once again, her finger shot forward the moment their eyes met. "That's him," she shrieked. "Arrest him." "I want him out of here now." Heads snapped toward Michael, like magnets pulled by accusation. The officers approached with heavy, authoritative steps, hands near their holsters, not drawn, but close enough to signal threat. "Sir," the taller officer said firmly, "we need to speak with you." Michael stood still, chest rising slow, controlled. He kept his voice even, respectful, the way a man learns to survive confrontation without escalating it. "About what, officer?" The woman cut in before the officer could speak. "He attacked me, in the parking lot." "Look at my face, he assaulted me." She pointed dramatically to a faint pink mark on her cheek. A mark she earned, returned, earned again. The officer looked back at Michael. "Did you strike her?" Michael held his breath. Truth was a fragile thing here, like glass resting between fault lines. "She slapped me first," he said. "I defended myself." The woman gasped, like innocence itself. 2 pages. "That's a lie. I never touched him. He hit me because I called him out for stealing my parking spot." "Do you have proof?" he asked. "Any witnesses?" Phones, cameras, dozens of recording strangers. But in chaos, truth becomes blurry. Opinions sharpen like knives, and bystanders don't always step forward. Michael swallowed hard. There were people outside. Someone must have seen it. The woman scoffed loudly. Nobody will defend you. I saw what you are. That word again. Unnamed, unspoken, yet heavy with meaning. The officers exchanged looks, weighing public complaint against uncertainty. Procedure demanded caution, but public pressure demanded action. Sir, the officer said carefully, we're not placing you under arrest at this time, but we are detaining you for questioning. Please come with us. Michael's stomach tightened. Detained. Not arrested, but close. Too close. He could fight it. He could demand proof. He could stand his ground and refuse. But refusal could snap tension like a fuse. And he had no intention of being the headline of someone else's story. Fine, he said quietly. I'll cooperate. The woman smirked, folding her arms with triumphant satisfaction. People stared. Phones rose again. Recording. Saving. Judging. As the officers guided him toward the front, a voice called out, "Hey, I saw what happened." Everyone turned. A teen stood near the cereal aisle, hoodie half-zipped, brows knitted with nervous courage. His voice trembled, but conviction carried through it. She slapped him first. I watched it happen. Murmurs rickled through the crowd, doubt sneaking into the narrative like light through cracks. The woman spun toward the teen. You liar, what do you know? The boy flinched, but didn't back down. I saw it. You pushed him, then slapped him. He just defended himself. Michael's chest loosened, breath spilling out in relief he didn't expect. One voice, one truth, one witness, daring to stand where others stayed silent. The officer turned to the woman. Ma'am, we're going to need you to calm down. We have conflicting accounts. Her face contorted, rage twisting into something darker. Desperate. Her victory slipped through her fingers, like sand. You're taking his side? We're taking facts, the officer replied. She stepped forward, eyes wild. You think he's innocent? You think he deserves sympathy over me? The team stepped beside Michael. He deserves fairness, he said softly. And something changed. Not in the woman. She remained burning, spiraling. But in the room, in Michael, in the shifting weight of judgment. Because now he wasn't alone. And that meant everything. The officers asked both to move outside for statements. The woman stormed ahead, furious and deflated. Her heels striking the tile like war drums. Michael followed, slower, steadier. He wasn't angry, just tired. So very tired of fighting battles he never asked for. Outside, the heat felt different. Not like fire, but like pressure lifting. The parking lot buzzed with voices, the crowd pushing closer to watch the fallout unfold like a live drama. Michael exhaled. The day had barely begun, and something told him the worst was still on its way. The air outside felt heavier than when Michael first arrived, as if the whole parking lot had been holding its breath, waiting to see what came next. The woman paced in furious circles near her SUV, phone in hand, voice trembling with outrage as she spoke to someone on the other end. No, listen to me. He hit me. I want charges. I want him gone. I don't feel safe with someone like him walking around free. Someone like him. 2 words, loaded like a gun. Michael stood a few feet away with the teen beside him, the only person brave enough to speak the truth aloud. The officers separated them, one taking statements from the woman, while another approached Michael, and the boy. The teen kept looking nervously between Michael and the officers, like he wasn't sure whether he should speak or run. Michael placed a reassuring hand on his arm, gentle, steady. "You don't have to do anything you're scared to," Michael said softly, "but thank you for speaking up." The boy shook his head. "It wasn't right what she did. I wasn't gonna just watch." Michael saw something in his eyes. Courage fighting fear. The kind people build from scars rather than strength. "What's your name?" Michael asked. "Evan," he replied quietly. "Evan," Michael repeated, smiling faintly. "You did the right thing." Evan's chest rose as though the words had weight, a good kind. The officer reached them, not aggressive, but cautious, which Michael respected. He dealt with officers who came with their minds made up, hands tense, questions loaded. This one was different. Neutral. Professional. "Sir," the officer began, pen ready over his notebook, "can you walk me through what happened, step by step, in your own words?" Michael explained. The parking spot, the argument, the shove, the slap. His equal response. He didn't dramatize, didn't water it down. He spoke with the quiet composure of a man used to staying calm in storms. Evan confirmed everything with more emotion than Michael himself did. "I swear, officer, she hit him first, twice, and she yelled stuff, serious stuff, the kind meant to hurt." The officer nodded slowly. "Thank you, both of you." He walked back toward his partner, the two conferring in low tones. The woman noticed, voice rising like a siren. "What are you doing? Why aren't you arresting him?" "I'm the victim here." In part, her voice cracked, half fury, half panic, because she could feel control slipping. One of the officers approached her again. "Ma'am, we have conflicting witness statements. For now, we cannot make an arrest based solely on your claim. We will file an incident report and forward it for review." Her mouth dropped open. "You're protecting him? You're defending a criminal?" "No, ma'am." The officer responded evenly. "We're following the law." She shook with disbelief, anger simmering into humiliation. She wanted triumph, headlines, a story where she was the hero. Instead, the world saw something else. Michael watched her storm toward her SUV, slamming the back door so hard the car rocked. She grabbed her phone again, rapid-firing texts, her face twisted into something brittle and ugly, like pride cracking under pressure. The officers took Michael's final details, thanked Evan again, and left with sirens low and calm. No urgency, no emergency, just procedure completed. For a moment, Michael thought it was over. He turned toward the entrance, ready to finally buy his groceries, ready to end this moment, like a rough chapter closing. But life writes cruel sequels. Because as he walked inside, another car screeched into the lot, fast, reckless. A man jumped from the passenger seat before it even stopped moving. Gray beard, muscle-built frame, fury already prepared. He stormed toward the woman. "What happened? Somebody hit you?" She pointed at Michael like a hunter spotting prey. "Him," she spat. "He struck me. He assaulted me. He thinks he can disrespect me and walk away like nothing happened." The man's face twisted, not confusion, not curiosity, just blind reaction. He didn't ask for facts, didn't want context. He only saw what he wanted, a target. He marched across the lot, fists clenched, jaw set. And Michael, exhausted and unguarded, didn't see it coming until the man was inches away. "You hit my wife?" he growled. Michael stepped back, hands raised in instinct, not fear, defense, not aggression. "She hit me first," Michael said firmly. "I defended myself. Ask around. There are witnesses." But reason never landed. The man grabbed Michael by the shirt and slammed him against a parked car. Metal vibrated beneath his spine, pain flaring sharp. Choppers gasped. Phones rose again, recording round 2 like entertainment. Michael clenched his teeth, gripping the man's wrist to keep balance. "Let go," he warned. "Not until you pay for what you did." The man cocked his fist back, a punch ready to break bone. And Michael realized words wouldn't stop this. Logic wouldn't slow hatred. He had seconds to choose. Take the hit, or defend himself again. And he knew one truth too well. Society remembers the second strike, never the first. Yet survival demands response. He blocked the punch, forearm snapping up with trained precision, and shoved the attacker back enough to breathe. The man stumbled. Surprised, Michael fought back. But surprise turned to rage. He charged again. And the watching crowd leaned closer. Hungry, recording, waiting for violence to define the story. Michael braced himself. This was no longer about a parking space. Not even about pride. This was about dehumanization. The belief that some people must justify their right to exist. And Michael was done shrinking to fit someone else's prejudice. He stood tall, tired, strong, unwavering. If they wanted a fight, he wouldn't start it. But he would finish it. The man lunged, fast, reckless, swinging with the kind of fury people mistake for strength. Michael stepped aside, redirecting the punch with controlled force, not aggression. The man stumbled past him, nearly crashing into a row of carts. Gasps erupted, not because of the near fall, but because the crowd realized Michael wasn't weak. He wasn't passive. He wasn't afraid. He stood his ground. The husband turned. Red-faced. Breath sharp. He charged again, but Michael caught his forearm mid-strike. Firm grip. Knees grounded. Posture steady, like a tree refusing to break in a storm. "I don't want to fight you," Michael said through clenched teeth. The man snarled. Too late. He swung with his other hand, a wild hook fueled by emotion, not skill. Michael blocked, again. Not with rage. With training. With survival. The crowd watched, like spectators at a coliseum. Phones recorded every second, like truth ran through pixels, not context. Someone shouted, "Let them fight. He deserves to hit him back." The grocery store entrance became an arena. People drawn in by conflict like moths to flame. No one stepped between them. No one tried to de-escalate. Because violence is entertainment. But dignity is a threat. The man shoved Michael hard. Michael planted his feet. His hand tightened. A fire lit behind his eyes. One he'd kept buried under years of restraint. "Back off," Michael warned, voice low, trembling with restrained power. The husband didn't listen. He swung one more time. And this time, Michael countered. A swift disarming maneuver. A hip turn. A controlled takedown. The man hit the asphalt, breath knocked out of him. Not injured, but defeated. The crowd went silent. Except for the woman. She screamed like the world had betrayed her. "You monster! You attacked my husband. Someone call the cops. Now!" Cameras zoomed. Narratives shifted. Truth bent beneath volume. Michael stepped back, chest rising slowly, trying to breathe through adrenaline and injustice. "I defended myself," he said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Both of you laid hands on me. I stood my ground. That's it." But perception was already poisoned. Some saw control, some saw threat. And the woman, sensing her advantage slipping, played her last card. Tears. Instant, dramatic, weaponized. She fell to her knees beside her husband, voice cracking with heart-wrenching theatrics. "He's dangerous," she cried. He hurt me. He hurt my husband. Somebody stop him before he kills someone. Michael's jaw tightened. Before he kills someone, a lie so large it was crafted for headlines. Sirens wailed in the distance, fast, urgent, growing louder. The crowd pulled back, forming a circle like an execution ring. Michael stood in the center, alone, breathing through a storm he never created. Evan, the teen witness, pushed through the barricade of bodies. "He's lying," he yelled. "She attacked him. They both did. I saw everything." The woman turned on the boy like a snake cornered. "You're a child. You don't know what you saw." Evan didn't back down. "No, I know what's right." And then something unexpected happened. Another voice rose. "I saw it too." A man near the vending machines raised his hand. Then, a woman holding grocery bags. "I recorded part of it." Then another. And another. Small truths rising like embers in darkness. One became many. Many became undeniable. The woman's confidence cracked. Her husband's breathing trembled. And Michael, in the eye of chaos, finally exhaled. Police cars skidded to a halt. Doors slammed. Officers rushed in, hands cautious, but not drawn. The crowd parted like water around them. One officer stepped forward. "What's going on here?" Voices erupted, but this time, truth had backup. Evan spoke first, louder than before. "That woman slapped him first. He defended himself. Her husband attacked him too." The officer faced Michael. "Is that true?" "Yes," Michael said. "But I didn't escalate. I only defended myself." The officer turned to the woman. She opened her mouth, but a new voice cut through the air. Strong, calm, older. "Before anyone lies," it said, "I have video, clear as day." The crowd turned as Michael's breath caught. A man in a gray work uniform approached, holding his phone, the screen displaying the altercation, captured from start to finish. Undeniable. Uneditable. Unshakable. The woman's face went pale, the husband's fists unclenched, and for the first time, Michael felt the day shift, not toward justice yet, but toward truth. A truth strong enough to challenge lies. The officer took the phone, watched quietly, slowly, and when he finished, he looked directly at Michael, then at the woman, then at her husband. Finally, he spoke. "We have a very different situation than what was reported." The woman's eyes widened, panic replacing rage. Her power was slipping, her narrative bleeding out, and Michael realized they weren't just wrong. They were exposed. The question now wasn't who was guilty. It was what came next, because truth is a light, and some people burn under it. The parking lot was silent in a way that felt loud, heavy with truth finally spoken, finally seen. The woman and her husband stood like statues caught in headlights, their power draining, not because they were weak, but because witnesses refused to stay silent. The officer held the phone for a long moment, letting the weight of the video settle across everyone watching. Then he turned to Michael. "Sir," he said, voice steady but respectful, "thank you for remaining calm during this conflict. Based on the evidence and witness accounts, you acted in self-defense." A soft ripple moved through the crowd. Relief. Vindication. The first inhale after nearly drowning. The woman snapped. "What? He hit us! You can't just take their word for it." Her voice cracked under the truth she could no longer bend. The officer lifted his hand, not aggressive, but commanding. "Ma'am, the video clearly shows you slapped him first, twice, and your husband initiated physical assault. You both escalated the situation." Another officer approached the woman and her husband slowly. "For now, "You are not under arrest," he said, "but you will be cited for assault, and you may be prosecuted depending on further review." Her mouth fell open. No fury left, just disbelief, humiliation. The husband stepped forward slightly, voice softer, drained. "This is ridiculous." He could have walked away. Michael finally spoke, not loud, not vengeful, but firm. He let the words sit. Let them echo. Let them cut. "You followed me inside. You grabbed me. You attacked first." The husband looked away, not because he disagreed, but because shame has a weight heavier than anger. Slowly, Michael stepped back, putting distance between himself and the chaos that tried to consume him. He didn't want revenge. He wanted peace. The officers asked for final statements, recorded names, wrote citations. The woman and her husband argued in circles, but without an audience willing to applaud their version of the truth. Their anger felt small, weak, empty. Evan stepped beside Michael again, the teen who could have stayed silent, but didn't. "You handled that better than anyone I know," he said quietly. Michael gave him a soft smile. "Doing the right thing shouldn't feel brave," he replied, "but sometimes it has to be." Evan nodded, shoulders relaxing like he'd been holding breath through the entire scene. The officer returned Michael's ID and paperwork. "You're free to go," he said with a respectful nod. "And for what it's worth, you did nothing wrong." Those words mattered more than the crowd, more than the cameras, more than the script of accusation that almost swallowed him. Michael grabbed his groceries, the simplest task now loaded with relief, and walked toward his car. Each step felt lighter, not because the world was perfect, but because truth survived. He placed the bags inside, closed the door gently, and leaned against the car for a moment, letting the heat of the day soak into him, releasing tension that had clung to him like shadow. People began to disperse. The crowd dissolved. Voices faded. But then, something unexpected. The woman approached, walking slowly, eyes red, voice trembling. Not like the aggressor she'd been, not like the victim she pretended to be. Just human. Flawed. Exposed. She stopped, a few feet away, hands shaking. Her voice cracked. "I lost control." Michael stayed still, calm, guarded, listening but not saving. "I was angry," she whispered. "I've been angry for a long time, and I took it out on you." Michael didn't speak. Silence was safer, wiser. Her eyes glistened. "I wanted to hurt you," she admitted. "I wanted you to feel small. Because I did. And that wasn't fair." Truth, raw and shaking, felt more painful than violence. She swallowed, voice fragile. "I'm not asking you to forgive me. Just, I'm sorry." Michael nodded slowly, not approval, not acceptance, just acknowledgement. Because some apologies aren't solutions, they're beginnings. The husband stayed behind her, head lowered, silent in a way that sounded like regret. Michael finally spoke, calm, steady. "You can't fix the past in 5 minutes. But you can choose not to repeat it tomorrow." The woman nodded, tears finally falling. "I'll try," she whispered. Michael stepped back, opened his car door. "I hope you do." And then, without anger, without fear, without needing to win, he drove away. Not as a victim, not as a fighter, but as a man who refused to let hate write his story. What he didn't know was that this moment, this public scene, this recording, this truth, would spread far beyond that parking lot. And tomorrow, someone else would need him, not for a fight, but for strength. The road home was quieter than expected. Not the kind of quiet that follows disaster, but the kind that settles after truth finally breathes. Michael drove without music, letting the rhythm of passing pavement calm the storm inside his chest. He replayed the moment again and again. Her hand, his restraint, the husband's rage, the crowd dividing, truth winning because someone chose to speak. Not because he was strong, not because he was lucky, but because one voice mattered. He pulled into his apartment complex, just as afternoon sunlight softened into gold. Kids rode bikes between parked cars, neighbors watered plants, someone grilled dinner 2 units down. The normalcy felt unreal, like stepping from a battlefield into a living room. He gathered his groceries, walked up the stairs, unlocked his door. Inside was calm, familiar. His jacket on the chair, his keys on the table. A place where the world couldn't judge or record him, at least for a moment. He set the bags down. Then, ding. His phone lit up with notifications. 1, 5, 23. Then it doubled. Mentions, messages, tags, and a link. A video. The parking lot. His confrontation. The truth and the lie, captured from every angle. Someone had uploaded it. And it was spreading. Michael hesitated, breath tightening. With a slow thumb, he pressed play. Voices filled the speaker, angry, frantic, scared. The slap. His response. The husband's attack. The takedown. The witnesses speaking up. Justice forming in real time. Unedited, unfiltered, raw. And the comments were already flooding. She hit him first. He handled that better than I would. Why do people think they can treat others like that? Respect to the man for keeping calm. Glad someone recorded it. Not all comments were kind. Some were sharp, hateful, blind, but many, far more than Michael expected, defended him. Supported him. Truth traveled faster than lies this time. His phone buzzed with a new notification. A message request from an unknown number. He opened it cautiously. It was Evan, the teen from the store. You okay? People are talking about it everywhere. Michael exhaled slowly. Yeah, I'm good. You? Evan replied instantly. I keep thinking what would have happened if I didn't say anything. Michael felt that line settle deep. One person makes a difference, he wrote back. Even one voice can change the outcome. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Returned. I never stood up for someone before, Evan admitted. Today felt right. Michael stared at the message longer than needed. In that boy, he saw a younger version of himself. Unsure, quiet, shrinking under pressure, instead of rising above it. Maybe today changed more than one life. He set his phone down and opened a carton of juice from his grocery bag, taking a long drink. The cold taste eased the dryness in his throat, tension dissolving like ice under heat. Just as he settled into the sofa, a knock rattled the door. Not gentle, not impatient, firm. Michael stood, cautious instinct rising again. He opened the door slowly and froze. It was the husband, not furious, not storming, standing alone, hands empty, eyes lowered. He spoke before Michael could. I shouldn't be here. You'd be right not to open this door at all, but I wanted to say something to you, face to face. Michael watched him, not hostile, but guarded. The husband continued, voice heavy. I let my anger speak for me today, and my pride. I saw my wife upset and didn't think. I reacted. You didn't deserve that. He swallowed hard. I taught my daughter to think before she acts. And today, I was the example of what happens when you don't. Michael remained silent, letting him continue. "I'm not asking for forgiveness," he said. "Only understanding. And maybe one day, a chance to do better than I did in that parking lot." Michael stepped aside slightly. Not fully, not welcoming, but acknowledging the attempt at accountability. "You came here," he said quietly. "Most people wouldn't." The man nodded, slowly, almost painfully. "I don't want to be a man ruled by anger. Today showed me I have a long way to go." He breathed out. "But I'm trying." Michael saw sincerity, not loud, not dramatic, just raw and human. He didn't smile. He didn't embrace. He offered a truth just as simple as the one in the store. "Do better tomorrow than you did today." The man nodded again, this time with calm acceptance. "I will." He turned, walked back down the hallway, disappearing into the fading dusk. Michael closed the door, not as a wall, but as closure. He returned to his sofa, sat down slowly, and for the first time since morning, he felt the weight lift off his chest. Not because everyone apologized, not because the world changed overnight, but because he walked through fire and stayed himself. Tomorrow might bring more judgment, more eyes, more noise. But tonight, Michael rested, not as the man they tried to shame, but as the man who refused to break. Morning sunlight crept across Michael's living room, warmer than yesterday, softer than the day before. It felt like a clean page, untouched, unwritten, waiting. Not a restart, but a continuation. His phone buzzed again, not with anger this time, with support. Messages from strangers, thanking him for standing strong, for not losing control, for showing restraint when violence would have been easy. Some messages were from people who'd faced similar moments, moments where dignity was tested, where identity was challenged, where silence was safer than speaking up. But today, people were speaking. Evan sent another message, shorter but deeper. "You changed how I see things." Michael stared at those words longer than the others. He set the phone aside, stood, stretched out the stiffness that still lingered in his muscles. A new day, same world, but somehow lighter. He opened his fridge, took out his groceries, the ones he almost never got to buy. Something so simple now felt like victory. He cooked breakfast slowly, calmly, eggs sizzling, toast warming, coffee rising in soft steam. The kind of morning built not on perfection, but on peace earned through endurance. Halfway through cooking, his phone chimed again. A news alert. The video had gone viral. Not for violence, for restraint, for truth, for justice. Comments filled with hope, not hatred. People talking about accountability, about standing up, about how easily truth gets buried unless someone decides to hold it above the noise. Michael read quietly, not smiling, not celebrating, just absorbing. He didn't want to be famous. He didn't want a title. He didn't want to be a story. He just wanted to exist without proving his humanity. But life had other plans. A knock came at his door, gentle this time. Michael opened it cautiously. But instead of confrontation, it was Evan. Backpack slung over one shoulder, eyes clearer, spine straighter. He looked nervous, but determined. "Mr. Jennings," he said softly, "I just wanted to thank you again for standing up for yourself, for not backing down. I didn't know people could fight without fighting." Michael stepped aside, gesturing him in. "You showed courage too," he replied. "Truth isn't loud, Evan. It just needs one person willing to speak it." Evan nodded, absorbing every word like fuel. They sat at the table, sharing breakfast, like two people connected by a moment bigger than both of them. Evan finally asked, Do things like that happen a lot? Michael paused. More than you think, he said. But less when people refuse to stay silent. Evan lowered his gaze, then lifted it again with growing strength. I won't stay silent anymore. Michael felt something profound shift inside him. Not relief, but purpose. Because this wasn't just about him anymore. It wasn't even about the woman, the husband, or the crowd. It was about the chain reaction of courage. He didn't win through fists. He didn't win through rage. He won through presence. Through restraint. Through truth that refused to. And because he stood his ground, someone else learned how to stand, too. Michael watched the sunlight dance across the table and finally understood. Strength isn't control over others. Strength is control over yourself. And when you master that, the world can't break you. Not with lies, not with violence, not with fear. He didn't choose to be a symbol, but he became one anyway. Not perfect, not heroic, just human, unshaken. And sometimes, that's enough to change everything. Thank you for watching this powerful story. If Michael's journey moved you, make sure to subscribe and share. Someone out there may need this story today. Stand up, speak truth, stay human, even when the world tests you.